Hello. In Neil Stephenson's last novel, which I highly recommend, it's just a fantastic. I just finished reading it for the second time. It's called Fall. It came out last year, and it's set in a couple decades into the future in the United States, or what used to be the United States. And basically, it's sort of, as is often the case with Neil Stephenson, he sort of takes present trends and kind of imagines what the world is going to be like if things continue along the trajectory they're on right now. And basically, a lot of what we now think of as being like blue states in the United States, especially the coastal regions, those places have all become very high tech, but they are disconnected from what is now what you think of as like the red states, right? And those places, those parts of the United States have become what's called Ameristan, right? And these are kind of, in those areas, people have descended down into a really horrible state where the life expectancy is really low, the literacy rate is really low, and people are just constantly in the grip of all of these kind of crazy conspiracy theories and things like that. It's really terrifying, right? In his telling, he says, "Oh, people there, they are Facebooked to the nth degree," and there's this new kind of version of Christianity that has emerged called the Leviticans, and they are doing everything to bringing back kind of Mosaic law as specified in the book of Leviticus, complete with burning witches and all sorts of stuff. They crucify people on along the side of the highway. It's a very terrifying book in many ways. But there's one part of it that I want to talk about in this video, because I think he really gets at something powerful that a lot of us are unwilling to face up to. So there's this evil genius named L, right? And L decides that he is going to basically inoculate all the world against the internet. He wants to prove that people should stop getting their information from the internet, that that social media is an untrustworthy place to be getting all of your news and your information. And so what he does to this end is he creates a hoax, right? And it's elaborate. It costs a lot of money. He basically he leads people to believe that this city, this small town in Utah called Moab, has been blown up by a nuclear weapon. And it's quite elaborate. They essentially they have this footage goes up on YouTube of people with kind of like cell phones, like that are in a plane, and the plane is flying, and and you hear people going like, oh my god, and you see like a mushroom cloud coming up, and people are like, oh my god, a nuclear weapon just went off over there, I think that's in Utah. And this is people flying at a safe distance away, but enough that they can they see it. There's footage that goes up on all sorts of sites of people being taken away with horrible chemical burns that look exactly like the burns that you saw in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And so they have all this like footage just coming out that's very upsetting. Now, of course, all of this is faked footage. This is footage that those are actors that were paid to do this, right? Then also what Elmo does is he basically, through some reasons, he shuts down the entire internet in the Moab area. So there's no way for anybody to actually get in touch with anybody in Moab and say, like, just call them up and say, hey, if somebody answers like a bookstore in Moab, Utah, then say, hey, did your place just get blown up by a nuclear weapon? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? Everything's cool here. Everything's fine, right? They shut down all connectivity to Moab so that there's no way to see, how things are going in Moab, right? So this lasts for about, pretty soon, they figure out that it was all a hoax, right? But it doesn't work the way Elle thought at all. In fact, there are all these kind of like, what we would call like kind of QAnon types, these conspiracy theory people who actually just say, oh, wow, look how big the cover up was. And they start having these bumper stickers, kind of like a 9/11 was an inside job type thing. They have these bumper stickers that say, remember Moab. And they start this whole cause where they absolutely refuse to believe that this conspiracy theory is wrong, right? Even when there's lots and lots of evidence that Moab is still there, and there's people that are, saying, right? Even after Elle releases all of the detailed evidence of which actors he paid to impersonate and how much everybody was paid and how they did it, even when he shows, how the trick was done, even then, people just buy into this belief, right? And I think there's a deep kind of truth to this, right? And that is that the world that we live in is really complicated, and a lot of people are frustrated by that. And there's something very exciting about a nice, neat conspiracy theory that explains everything, right? That makes that sort of cuts down on all of the complexities of the world and says, well, there are these bad people that are, the Illuminati or something like that are behind all of this, right? So, yeah. Anyway, remember Moab, and remember that the next time you're arguing with somebody who's in the grips of a real kind of conspiracy theory and that is airtight, just remember that there's probably nothing that you can say, there's no evidence that you can provide them with that's going to change their mind, right? So probably the best thing you can do is to, stop arguing with them and maybe just sort of listen to their concerns, be kind to them, be compassionate, but don't think, right? This is this sort of rationalist bias that we have, that somehow, if I can just think of the right argument, if I can just provide this person with the right evidence, that they're going to see the error of their ways and they're going to change their mind. No, they probably won't, right? Because that conspiracy theory is answering a number of deep sort of psychological needs for them. It's meeting a bunch of emotional needs. It's probably providing them with a certain amount of community, right? And until you can offer something that provides that same kind of community and answers those same emotional needs and psychological needs, they're not going to trade. They're not going to trade in sort of your skepticism and your complexity for their airtight simplicity, right? They're just not, right? It's not that's not the way we work, right? Anyway, that's good for now. Take care. Bye.